Welcome back to Strange Stories with the Seeker and the Skeptic. Today we have probably a pretty short episode. Jonathan and I have been very busy with getting ourselves ready to move. We just spent a week in New York at my grandmother's house, which we will be moving into. And we wanted to come on and just tell you about some of the strange things that happened while we were there. So I've lived in my grandmother's house before, and um the room that I used to stay in when I was taking care of her and living with her was my grandfather's room. So at a certain point, my grandparents stopped sharing a room together, as some couples do. And he passed away, I think it was 2008. So like I said, for about a year, I lived in that room, and I would often feel him around me. Like I would feel him kind of like just like his energy, or sometimes like I'd feel him like tugging on my hair a little bit, just like getting my attention. So the first night that Jonathan and I were there, I saw a shadow figure walking out of that room into the hallway, and it was just very quick, but I was like, oh, like there was definitely like a shadow figure there. So that was the first thing that I experienced. And then Jonathan, what did you experience while we were there?
Well, just to kind of set the scene a little bit. This is a house that's been unoccupied for about a year and a half. So, basically, previous to that, her grandparents had lived there for 50 years. So there's, a lot of stuff to do. A lot of what we've been doing for the past week has been moving furniture, moving belongings, figuring out what to donate, what to throw away. So we're going in and out of the house a lot over this week. And the day after we got there, so that I guess that would have been last Sunday, because we went on last Saturday. I had went and taken some things out to the dumpster we rented and came back into the house. So I was going back towards the back of the house. And as I walked past the kitchen, I saw um a guy, an older, short, stockier gentleman, out of my peripheral vision, just out of the corner of my eye. I could tell that he was standing there looking at me, and I got this feeling of just being bemused, like this curiosity almost. And that was Tuesday. Just standing there beside the refrigerator, just kind of looking. Um, a couple days later, early in the morning, I got up and started making breakfast and looking, I was chopping garlic, paying attention to that, just getting garlic chopped for breakfast. And out of the corner of my eye in the dining room, because there's a connected, dining room, kitchen area, I saw what looked like the same figure. Again, just kind of looking at me. It's kind of got this you know, vibe is not a great word, but I don't know that we have a better word for it. Just this kind of like this sense of just curiosity.
Yeah, you didn't tell me about the second one. You told me about standing in the kitchen, but um I find it funny that it's like a curiosity. My initial instinct is like, oh no, Grandpa's pissed for throwing all of his stuff out. Because we got a dumpster and we were definitely throwing away a lot of things. My grandparents come from a generation where you did not throw anything away ever, and they did not. So there's a lot of things that we are not keeping because, I mean, one of the things we found was 30-year-old canned tomatoes. Not sure why we needed to keep that, but they are now in the dumpster. So I'm glad that he's curious and not angry that we're getting rid of all of his treasures.
Yeah,
And then,
absolutely. There was another thing
yeah, what was the other thing?
that, well, you can talk about that. I think you experienced it more than I did. I was kind of peripheral on that.
Okay, so there was a night where I was in bed, kind of like falling asleep, and Jonathan was still out in the living room. And like I was like kind of in and out of like that state, like right before you're falling asleep. But I kept hearing something in my mind, and it was a very strange sound. And it kind of felt like it was my brain tuning into a certain frequency. And it was like kind of coming in and out. And it kind of like sounded like this weird, like almost moaning sound. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't in my brain anymore. We both physically heard it from different areas of the house. We were in different rooms. And I don't know if moaning is the best way to describe it, but it's the only way that I can really think of describing like what that sound was like that we both heard.
Yeah, it was just like an atonal vocalization. It didn't sound like an animal that I can think of. It didn't sound like it was like, any kind of technology. Like it wasn't like any kind of a beeping sound or anything. It wasn't definitely wasn't speech for sure. Like it wasn't there was no words, but it's just like a half second of just something,
Yeah. It was very
something.
strange. I mean, hearing it like and that we both heard it, that was strange, but to me the weirder part was I was hearing it in my mind first before I heard it with my ears. So
Yeah.
that I've never had something like that happen to me before. That was very strange. And not really entirely sure what to make of that one.
Yeah, I definitely have not experienced that or I think heard of that before. So maybe somebody will know what we're talking about and reach out once they hear this and be like, actually, it's such and such.
Yeah. And then I think there was just one more kind of strange thing that happened. So as we were leaving, I walk out into the garage and all I can smell is my grandmother's meatballs. And grandma made Sunday dinners my entire childhood, every single Sunday. Meatballs, spaghetti, sauce, the whole shebang. And it just, the entire garage smelled like that. And Jonathan walked in and he could smell it as well. And I'm not sure what to make of that one. I mean, there was definitely nobody cooking meatballs or anything. We were getting ready to leave, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we were finishing
Oh,
up
well.
packing up the car just a couple days ago on Saturday, and you were in the garage and you were like, "Whoa," or something like that, and I walked through the garage. I'm like, "Why do I smell garlic and beef?" I'm like, "Spaghetti
Yeah.
sauce," and
Yeah.
you're like, "Well, this is exactly the smell of my grandmother's meatballs." And we just kind of stood there for a couple of minutes, just real quiet, like. And I feel like I'm kind of being pranked a little bit by something because multiple episodes, the first part of this podcast, I kind of made fun of people who smell things that aren't there,
Yeah.
and now here we are.
And
So
that's not the first time I've smelled something that wasn't there. After my other grandmother had passed away, my dad's mom, I came home from school one day and the entire I was nobody else was home. It was just me, and the entire house smelled like her perfume. So I mean, I have had that happen before. But yeah, I wasn't expecting to smell grandma's meatballs, which have not been made in probably 15 years, but it just was like no denying, like that's what it smelled like. And so
yeah,
I told my family, and my dad's like, yeah, it's probably grandpa just letting you know that he's there because he loved your grandmother's meatballs, and that is very true. He certainly did.
yeah, it's super interesting to me, but she apparently hasn't made that in years and years, but she is still with us. Like she has not passed away.
Yeah.
So like she's, we saw her a week ago, so that clearly has nothing, it's not her directly, but I have thought for a very long time that a lot of the things that we consider as, that humans consider to be ghosts or apparitions or whatever are like kind of like a psychic imprint of things that happened in a place. And if she, you're saying she did that every single Sunday for decades, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
like that is something that is psychically impressed on that house, possibly. That's a thing. It's positive, probably, you know,
Yeah.
memories for a bunch of people. And I think things kind of get ingrained in places, maybe. And that's just a theory that I have. You know.
Yeah, it definitely could be. Who knows? There's a lot of different things that it could be, but that was definitely interesting. And when I came home, so I'm reading a book and we're going to be actually interviewing the author in an upcoming episode. So I'm reading her book. She's a psychic medium and she talked about um like doing an investigation and how there was like a room where there was like two mirrors facing each other and how that can create like really weird things. Some people say it like opens portals, some people say it just creates weird energetic vibrations. But in my grandmother's room, there are two mirrors facing each other, and
Mhm.
that will change as soon as we can get that furniture moved. But that just had me like, I'm like, huh, I hadn't heard that before about the two mirrors facing each other. I do have a little bit of a weirdness around mirrors. And I'm hoping my friend Meg will help me feel a little bit more comfortable with mirrors because she has kind of a different belief system around that. Um, like I have a mirror in my office right now that's covered up because it just gives me weird feelings. And I don't know. Maybe there's something there too. Who knows? There's lots of strange things that could be going on in that house, but doesn't feel negative. I mean, to me anyways, I don't have any like negative feelings about what's going on there. I
None
do
at
feel
all.
like, you know, I do feel like my grandfather's presence is definitely there, and maybe there's other things going on as well. But it's going to be interesting, that's for sure.
No, I had not heard the mirrors facing each other thing before, but one of the places that you know I lived growing up, my parents definitely had mirrors like that in our living room because it gives the illusion. People do that because it gives the illusion of having more space than you have.
Yeah.
It makes the room feel bigger, and that's an optical illusion that is real. Like the thing that we do as humans feel that way. But I mean, there was a lot of, poltergeist style activity in my house when my brothers and I were kids. And there's a lot of researchers who talk about how, you're more likely to have that when there are kids in the house. That energy from kids can manifest in weird ways. And I mean, maybe that was amplified by that. I don't know. I'm looking forward to reading that book myself.
Yeah. As a very quick part of that book, but I was just like, I read it last night. I was like, that's interesting because there's definitely in that bedroom two mirrors that are facing each other. So
It's true.
I would definitely like to learn more about mirrors and mirror magic. And I can't remember the name of the thing that Meg made me.
Hexenspiegel.
Hexenspiegel, yes, yes. So it's like a mirror on a piece of jewelry, and it's supposed to kind of reflect back other people's energy, which for an empath, it's a beautiful thing. And so I love the necklace that my friend Meg made me. Um, it's awesome. So definitely want to look at positive ways of using mirrors.
Good short one today. With the us coming back from 8 days of heavy lifting and just trying to get that house ready and get our house ready to move. It's just gonna have to be a short update this time. That being said, folks, always looking for more people to talk about, have interesting conversations. If you experience a weird thing, have a weird theory, um, just like strange stuff and want to talk about it on a podcast, hit us up. We're easy to find. We always respond to everything.
Absolutely. And we will keep you up to date about any weird things that happen in that house as we move into it and as we're going forward. So
for sure.
Hopefully there will be other fun stories we can share with you guys. All right, guys, take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for being here. If you have a strange story you want to share with us, email us at seekerandskeptic@gmail.com. We look forward to talking to you soon.